Ayatollah Khamenei tweeted almost every day, "Death to Israel."
I want to see no nuclear weapon in Iran.
Iran and Israel's unprecedented hostilities have entered day 6. We spoke to a whole host of experts. We've been getting you this continuous coverage to understand the wider geopolitical ramifications of the war. Let's listen into this.
Well, we understand completely that the situation is a very serious situation, that the Iranians still have, even 5-6 days after the start of the war, still they have a very robust kind of capacity to hit Israel and to cause damage. There is no doubt about that. But so far, in respect of the preparations and the assumptions and evaluations of the Israeli military as to what is expected in terms of damage and fatalities, even though the situation is quite serious, we are still far, far away from the predictions, and we are very much inside the context of our capacity to do that, to defend ourselves. So absolutely, we will continue to work very, very hard. This is the job mainly of the Air Force and the other elements, to limit the capacity of the Iranians to hit our rear. We are working on that. Their capacity has been diminishing in the last few days. I mean, today is much better than it was tomorrow, etc., etc. And we hope that we will be able to bring the level of threat to the minimum. It doesn't mean that we will be able to close our territory and our skies hermetically. This is not the case. This is not possible. But I think that we have to understand that compared with the potential threat and compared with the estimations as to what can happen, we are very much in a secure situation.
Definitely isn't the right time for the US to step into this war. This war should not be happening. What was happening up until a week ago was the US negotiating with Iran, trying to create a new nuclear agreement similar to what was created under the Obama administration. Now, if those talks had continued, it was likely we were going to reach another deal between the US and Iran, and that could have actually reduced the likelihood of Iran pursuing nuclear capabilities, at least for a while. What Israel has done here is they're essentially forcing Iran's hand. The likelihood of them aggressively pursuing increased nuclear capabilities are going up drastically as long as Israel continues this campaign against Iran. And now the US is being forced to make a decision essentially against their own terms, which they set up with Israel. Now they're having to decide to get involved in a war that they did not start, they did not agree to, but nor do they want to publicly defy Israel or not show support. They've also got to decide, if they were able to enter into that war, what the likely outcome would be. Would Trump be able to get some kind of US victory over Iran? Would they be able to stop that nuclear capability from growing? Or would they just be putting their own military infrastructure in the wider Middle East region at greater risk? So Trump is being forced to decide what he wants to do here. And I honestly don't think he knows what the best strategic move is for the United States.
Well, it looks like they have come to the precipice of entering this war. Whether they will cross over into an active military role, we'll find out, I suspect, within the next 48 hours. But based on what Donald Trump has been saying, all indication seems to be that he wants to go to war with Iran. And, I have to share with your viewers, this all sounds eerily reminiscent of the lead up to the 2003 Iraq war invasion. Very similar claims were made, very similar arguments, a very similar level of hubris and arrogance from the Americans, thinking that they can solve the problems of the Middle East through raw military power. We saw what happened in Iraq. We saw what happened in Afghanistan. We saw what happened in Libya. And unfortunately, it looks like that story is going to repeat itself in Iran as well.
There's absolutely risks that could emanate out of Iraq, both domestically within Iraq's borders and beyond, as well, obviously, from Yemen. We have to remember that after the horrendous attacks of October 7th in 2023, the Houthis launched missile strikes against Israel. Without the Israelis striking Yemen, it was the Houthis that fired the first shot, if you will. The militias that have been financed, organized, and trained by Iran that are resident in Iraq do, in fact, pose a threat both to internal stability in Iraq as well as to the U.S. presence there. Those are things that have to be mitigated against. I'm confident that the United States Central Command is, in fact, taking a number of force protection steps for American troops in Iraq and elsewhere within the region. And I'm also very confident that if the Houthis decide to again strike, whether it's Israel or U.S. forces, there will be a very, very strong response.